All right, here we go. One of my favourite desserts, pear tart tatin. Been making this for years and years, been eating it for years as well. It really is one of my favourite desserts. Fantastic to make, it's quite easy. You just need to keep an eye on it. But I'm going to show you exactly how to make this classic. And I'm going to be peeling some pears. So I've got 3 pears here. Depends on the size of your tart tatin. You can make this tart tatin bigger, or you can make it smaller. You just need to adjust the size of your fry pan. I've got a 20 centimeter diameter fry pan here, and that's going to feed between 2 and 4 people. And for that, I'm going to need 3 pears. So the pears I bought here were slightly firm. They were ripe, but they weren't overripe. I don't want the fruit breaking down in the pan. Now, I've just peeled the pears using a speed peeler. Got rid of all of that outside skin. Next, I'm using a melon baller just to scoop the insides of each pear out and just remove that core. We don't want any of that in there. So once I've removed the core of all 3 pears, I'm going to cut the pears in half with a small paring knife. And we're eventually going to cut all of these pears into quarters as well. So we're just going to remove the stem. So make sure all of the core and all of the stem is removed from the 3 pears. I'm going to cut them in half and then cut them in half again. So with 3 pears, we're going to have 12 pieces of pear for our tart tatin. And there, the fruit is prepped and it's ready to go. So this really is a simple dessert, but I'm going to show you how to assemble it. I've got some softened butter, and I'm just going to put that into my pan using a brush. Just going to brush it all the way over liberally, and you know, it doesn't have to be nice and neat. This is going to get cooked over the stove, so you can just get that butter in, but just spread it out nice and evenly before adding my caster sugar into the pan as well. Just add all of that caster sugar. Now I'm using some vanilla paste. You could use fresh vanilla seeds from a pod, so just get a pod and split it lengthways and scrape out the seeds. But I've got vanilla paste, and I've also added some Chinese 5 spice powder before arranging all of those pear quarters inside the pan, nice and neat, all sort of pointing towards the middle. Once all of the pear pieces are in, then we're almost there really. We just need to stud each piece of pear with a clove. Now we need to remember these cloves are there, so when we're serving this at the end, if you tell your guests that there's clove inside, so they can remove that when they're eating it. You can munch through it, but it's pretty hard, so just let them know. But I do find the clove gives a fantastic flavour. Next, we need to add our pastry on top. So I've got some puff pastry here. You can make your own, or you can use store-bought. I've got a disc which has been cut to the same diameter as the pan, so 20 centimeters in diameter. And I just place the pastry on top of the pears. Now the pastry just came straight from the fridge because puff pastry's got a lot of butter in it. You just need to work quickly and pull it out straight from the fridge. I'm tucking the pastry underneath the pears, so just inside the pan, and kind of just tucking it underneath some of those pears and just pushing it in nice and neat. Next, I'm going to get a paring knife and just cut a little hole in the middle, and that's where steam is going to escape. Right, this tart tatin is ready to be cooked. So we're going to cook the whole thing on a pan over the stove before then finishing it in the oven. And this is fantastic because you're going to fill your kitchen with all of these amazing aromas. You've got the spice, you've got the vanilla, and of course you've got the pear. You've got this amazing caramel and butter flavour. I absolutely love it. So we've got the pear tart tatin onto a flame. You could use induction, but I've just got a stovetop here. And all we're doing is we're just melting that sugar, and we're also melting the butter, and we're mixing them together just to form a syrup. Now this syrup is really important. It's going to create an amazing flavour, but also it's going to crisp up that puff pastry. So you need to cook this for a little while and just form that syrup. I'm making sure that my pears are not sticking to that pan. So I'm giving the pan a shake really regularly just to make sure nothing's catching on the bottom. And I'm also lifting the pan away from the heat as well, so I'm managing my heat by just sort of lifting the pan up and down or turning the heat up and down. And pretty soon you're going to start to get this amazing smelling clearish caramel, and with that you're going to baste the back of the puff pastry. So this is a really unique way of getting a crunchy, flavorful exterior to your puff pastry. And if you look at that now, it's really starting to get some heat in there, and the spices have all mixed in, which has turned that syrup a different color, and the sugar's starting to caramelize. You've got this amazing aroma in your kitchen, and more of that syrup has been produced. And as you can see now, I'm just using a spoon and I'm taking the syrup from the inside of the puff pastry and from the outside, and I'm just using it to baste the back of that puff pastry. What's going to happen is when you put the tatin into an oven, all of that basting juice will really crisp up that pastry and give this amazing finish to your tart tatin. So again, just making sure that it doesn't stick to the side of the pan or to the bottom. So I'm just making sure that it's moving the whole time, and I'm basting the whole time. And what I'm looking for is a golden brown caramel. When I can see golden brown coming from the sides of the puff pastry and from the center of the tart tatin, then I know it's ready to go. And the syrup has thickened up, and we do have caramel on the side now. It smells absolutely incredible, and this is almost ready to go in the oven now. Just going to give it another little shake just to make sure. I'm just basting that puff pastry with this caramel. It smells so good. The kitchen really does fill with these amazing aromas, and I'm pretty much there now. I'm quite happy with that. The caramel is a golden brown color. The tatin has not stuck to the bottom of the pan, and also that puff pastry has all been basted with that amazing caramel and that amazing syrup. So I'm going to pop it into a hot oven, and I literally cannot wait for this to come out. Here we are. Be really careful with this. It's super hot. As you can see, that puff pastry on the outside has crisped up amazingly. All of the additional juices have evaporated, and all of the caramel has intensified and turned this amazing color, and have cooked the pears on the outside. Now this step is really important. Make a small cartouche. We need to turn this tatin out onto a plate, but you need a bit of paper first, just to stop the tatin from sticking to the plate as it cooled. One flip, and look at that. That is absolutely incredible. That is a pear tart tatin that will be a showstopper on any table. It looks absolutely tremendous. I know I said before that feeds between 2 and 4. I was thinking, oh, 2 is probably a bit too much, but yeah, look at that. You'll be going back for seconds. So you'll probably get 6 people out of this actually. But the pastry has crisped up on the outside. The pears are cooked perfectly. You've got this amazing caramel flavor. And there you go, guys. Give it a go. Perfect with vanilla ice cream or vanilla sauce. Enjoy my pear tart tatin.